Hey Mama, and welcome to the Positivity in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast. I am really excited about this episode as I got to interview my sister who had a home birth this year as she shares some of the things that she learned, why she did it, and how her experience was in prepping for a home birth and also successfully doing a home birth. So, if that is how you are preparing for pregnancy is through a home birth, this is a great episode for you. Hi, I'm Jocelyn, host of the Positive in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast. I help pregnant women and mothers to find positivity in their season of life through changing their thoughts to work for them and not against them. I help mothers find the small, doable steps in thought and action without making drastic changes to their everyday mom life. And I can help you. Thanks for joining. I know pregnancy can be hard. In fact, that's what I decided to name my Facebook group when I felt compelled to share what I've learned on pregnancy is hard. It can be a very difficult season, and if you are struggling during your pregnancy, I encourage you to look into my Positive Pregnancy program. They are mindset exercises to help you have a more enlightened and beautiful pregnancy, rather than hating and loathing all the changes that pregnancy brings. Pregnancy is amazing. It is a miracle that our bodies, our womanly bodies, can grow another human body within us. It is just incredible. I wanted to share that with you before we jump into today's episode. It is the top link in the show notes if you want to learn more information. And the other thing I wanted to say is we kind of recorded this episode spur of the moment. Like we just had a moment that worked to do it. But Tasha's baby was in the background and he was very voiceful while we were recording. He was happy, but he was making lots of noises. So I just hope you'll have some grace with us and realize that we are moms as well. We have kids around us. I listened to it. You can still hear her just fine, but you do hear him making some of those happy noises. So apart from that, this episode is great and I hope you learn a lot. Hey, we're going to do an interview today, and if the audio sounds different, that's because it is. I am with my sister and I don't have my regular mic, but we are going to continue our series on Pregnancy's Preparation, Home Birth Edition. I have not had a home birth, but my sister has, and she was willing to come on the podcast and tell us a little bit about it. So, Tasha, tell us, why did you decide to do a home birth, and what was your interest there?
I've always actually kind of wanted to do a home birth. I have some friends who have done home birth and some cousins who have done home births or car births or just other crazy things like that. And so I've always wanted one, but it's not lined up for me in the past. And I felt like this might be my last baby. And I felt like I needed to give it every opportunity that I could if I was going to do a home birth.
So with baby 4, this is her fourth baby. She decided to do a home birth. And tell us what you did to prepare and what you would recommend for those who are wanting a home birth to prepare for a home birth.
Well, I feel like my preparation kind of started honestly with my second kid, but I wasn't obviously preparing for a home birth at the time, but I really wanted an unmedicated birth with her, and I wanted to have a VBAC. I had a C-section with my first baby. And I took a really cool birthing class that I loved. It was a hypnobirthing class, which like hypno sounds kind of weird, like you're being hypnotized, but it's really not. It's more just like a mindful thinking type of thing, and just like feeling you're mindful of positive thoughts, thoughts like I was built to do this, my body's created to do this, and a bunch of things like that. And I used to listen to this like hypnobirthing audio set when I was pregnant with her. And it says things like, I choose the best care providers for me and for my baby. And just like, it just has mostly like affirmations and statements and things like that. And I would listen to that. And I started listening to it when I was newly pregnant with Hayden. I was just like, I'm going to do that again. Like that felt good. And as I was listening to it, I just kept thinking like when it would come to the part that's like, I choose the best care providers for me and my baby. Like I knew that I wasn't choosing the best care providers for me and my baby. And so I told my husband I don't feel like I can continue forward with the doctor that I initially had and be successful in my desires of having an unmedicated birth. And I told him that I really wanted to have a home birth and that I wanted to do it through a midwife. And he was actually super supportive, which kind of actually scared me at first because he's never been supportive of it in the past, and he just didn't think it was a good idea. But he's like, I get it. Let's do it. And let's meet midwives. And so I made appointments with all the midwives in the area, like literally all of them. And the first midwife that we met, my husband loved her. He's like, we don't even need to meet the other ones. She's the one. And I was just laughed. And I wanted to meet the other ones just because I wanted to be sure that I was picking the best one. So we went and met some other ones. And we still felt confident that the midwife that I picked was the best one. And we chose her, and it was awesome. And I feel like from that point, how I prepared myself, I literally was all consumed. I watched YouTube videos all the time. I read books, listened to books, anything that I could learn and feel strong and confident in. I spent all my time thinking about it. I ate healthy. I drank teas that are supposed to be helpful, like raspberry leaf tea and nettle tea. And I ate tons of dates, and I just did lots of different things because I really wanted to be successful in my endeavor to do this. And that honestly, like, listened to audiobooks all the time whenever I was doing anything. Whenever I was sitting down, watch YouTube videos, I let it consume me. I feel like that's how I prepared.
Sometimes I feel like it is useful to know those resources. So, like, what were your favorite books or YouTube channels that were go-tos when... Do you have any that come to mind that you were really inspired by?
Yeah. One of my favorite girls to watch on YouTube was Ellen Fisher. She has recorded like all of her births, and she's done all home births, and she's like shown her progression is like as you birth, you learn a lot, and you learn different things that you can do while you're in labor, while you're in birth, that make those moments more peaceful and more intact. And I kind of watched her journeys from her first kids to her, like, I think she has like 6 kids. And I watched it all throughout and how she had different tips that made differences. And she has lots of books that she recommends too. But the one book that I did listen to that I really liked was the Ina May Gaskin's Guide to Childbirth. And then Birthing from Within. Those are the audiobooks that I listened to. And then most of the time I would find like Bridget Tyler is another one. She has a YouTube channel called Built to Birth. I would go on her channel, and she has like lots of tips. She has I think she has home birth videos of her giving birth to her baby too. I watched home birth videos, ones that aren't famous YouTubers. I literally just looked up home birth videos all the time and just watched people giving birth just to like know what to expect. And like, I just feel like it's so special and such a miracle. So I would watch tons of those to prepare myself. And like, you see all sorts of different things, which was crazy to me. Like, some women like had a really hard time, and other women it was like super easy. And I was just really interested to see what might happen in mine. But Bridget Tyler is one that I really like to watch a lot. She had like lots of ways to get babies in like right positionings, like lots of exercise videos that she did on things like that. And I also walked every day. Well, not every day. 5 days a week. I walked for 30 minutes a day, like religiously, my whole entire pregnancy. And I feel like that made a huge difference.
Wow, that's amazing. And thank you so much for those tips. That's incredible. And I meant to touch on this earlier, but I forgot how you listened to your intuition and switched from a doctor to a midwife. I feel like that's powerful, and maybe some of you are feeling that pull that you might need to switch to. Listen to that intuition. That's amazing.
Totally. Yeah, that is so important. I feel like I had that with a couple of my previous pregnancies too, but I just wasn't brave enough, and I actually really liked my doctor. I liked him as a person. Like, we got along well. We had a great connection together, and he's delivered a couple of my babies. And so there was like a part of me that felt loyalty to him and that I wanted him to deliver. But my last experience in the hospital with my son before the baby that I just had was not great. And he barely showed up in time to deliver the baby. And I just felt like it really made me question the whole care system. Like, the person who is seeing you your whole entire pregnancy. My baby's just making noises. Hi, do you want to be on the podcast?
He has a side of the story too, huh?
Yeah, he does. He's the main character in this story, huh? But anyway, I forgot what I was saying.
You're talking about staying loyal, but your last experience.
Oh, yeah,
wasn't...
yeah. And it made me question the whole entire care system. And I just felt like it's weird that my doctor is the one who sees me my whole entire pregnancy. And then I go for the main part of the whole entire shebang is to have your baby. I go into a hospital full of people that I've never met, people who have never talked to me, people who don't know anything about my medical history, about my health, about my state, about what's important to me. And those are the main people who take care of me until my doctor shows up to catch my baby. And I thought I didn't like that. And with my midwife, she schedules appointments for 45 minutes to an hour every single time, and you know what time they're going to start and what time you're going to end. She talks with you about your health, nutrition, like all the different things, and she was my main care provider. And then at the birth of my son, she was the person who was there the whole time supporting me. Like, she was the one I knew, and she was the one that was there, and it felt so special. And like, midwives are saints. They're amazing. She's amazing.
Yeah, so tell us, what did you actually find most useful during pregnancy? Like, what I know the walking and like you say, the day eating probably helped, but when you were in labor, what was there mental techniques or things you thought or things you did that actually helped the laboring at home?
Oh yeah, big time. In the past I've had really long labors, and I just prepped myself for another long labor, and I thought for sure it would be long. And I did have I would say maybe or pre-labor or whatever it's called, just really beginning labor for probably 4 or 5 days with my baby. And then my water broke, and it was just kind of like a trickly break. It wasn't like a gush. And so I wasn't totally convinced, but it was. And I just kind of laid around waiting for things to intense, and they never did. And so my midwife came and stripped my membranes, and after she did that, the contractions were 50 seconds apart, and they were lasting 30, 40 seconds. And then they started getting a couple minutes apart, but then a minute or two long. They were really long. And for me, I didn't want this experience to be a painful experience. So when I walked, I would do a lot of thought work about how I wanted it to go, and how smoothly I wanted things to go, and what I wanted to feel when I was in labor. And I did not want to feel angry. I did not want to feel frustrated. I wanted to feel really connected with God. That was a big focus of mine, because I feel like birthing his children should feel like a miracle, because it is. And I didn't want it to feel like a burden. I didn't want it to feel painful, and I knew it was going to be intense, and I was okay with it being intense, but I didn't want it to be painful. So in my mind, I just never let myself get to the point of pain. I was like, whoa, these are strong. These are intense. They were way intense. And then, yeah, I feel like my mental prep of how I wanted it to be did a lot for me, because after I started really active, intense labor, I had my baby in 3 hours, which for me felt like a miracle. And my midwife kept telling me, you're getting close. And I'm like, there's no way I'm getting close. I still have tons of hours left of this. So I feel like prepping yourself for something harder, I feel like I built it up in my mind to be harder than it actually was. So that was some mental preparation that I did.
So you were basically prepared for a lot more than you actually had to go through. So tell us about the actual birth. Did you enjoy your home birth? Would you do it again?
I loved my home birth, and I would literally recommend it to everybody. I just saw another resource when you asked that question. I watched The Business of Being Born with my husband. I got it from my local library, and it was really good. And honestly, I feel like that really made him feel confident in me giving home birth, because I feel like with Western culture and just modern medicine and the way that women have been giving birth for the past 100 years, 80 years, whatever, has just been way medically intervened. And it's actually safer to let your body do it. And 95% of pregnancies are not emergent. There is pregnancies and people who should give birth at hospitals, but I feel like most people can give birth at home. And that I really truly feel like our bodies were created by God to give birth to his children in such a natural and normal way. And I just felt really excited about it, and I want everybody to do it, because I love my home birth. I felt like it was actually about me and my baby. I did not feel like I owed it to anybody to do something a certain way, or to be at the hospital at a certain time, or to be inconvenienced by anything. I just felt like it was about me and my baby and God, and I loved it. Sorry, what was your question?
No, you're good. I was just asking if you had enjoyed it, if you would do it again, and you totally hit on that.
I want to do it again. I already have 4 kids, so I'm kind of racking up the numbers of kids, but I'm like, I told Eamon after that, I want 4 more. I want 10 more. Like, I loved it. It felt so special. Like, my experience, like once my midwife stripped my membranes and I just started feeling the contractions coming in like heavy, consistent waves, I mostly shifted my mind to gratitude too. I think that was a huge thing for me. I just felt extremely grateful that my body was doing what it was supposed to. And like, I remember like hearing lots of birth stories or like watching birth movies and people saying they could feel their baby moving down, and like, thinking back now, I feel like I could feel my baby moving down, but when I was having the contractions, I just like felt this weird pressure in my back. I don't know if I was like having back labor or what, but I felt this weird pressure in my back, and my midwife's like, "You're gonna have that baby soon," and I was like, "No, I'm not." And then I just like felt like I was gonna throw up, and she brought me a bowl that had like, she put peppermint at the bottom. This is how cool my midwife is. She just knows. She knows all the right things to do, and I did not want to throw up. And she put peppermint in the bottom of the bowl, and when I smelled it, I was like, okay, like, I'm good. I'm just going to try and go to the bathroom. So I went to try and go to the bathroom, and when I sat down on the toilet, I literally thought I was going to die. I was like, oh, that was a horrible idea. I should not have moved positions. And I sat down, and I was just like, and I just, like, I watched a lot of videos, and they say, like, that's awesome, Summer. When you open your mouth and relax your face, it like opens your vagina and your muscles down there in your uterus. And like when your face is soft and relaxed and open, it like has some sort of weird connection with your muscles and your things down there. And so I was like consciously like opening my mouth really wide because I really wanted like everything else to open really wide. And so I was like roaring, but like with my mouth open wide, and she's like, "Your baby's coming." I was like, on the toilet? No. I'm like, my baby's not coming here. And so she's like, "Do you think you can make it to the birthing pool?" And I was like, "Yep." And so I ran across the hall and hopped in the pool, and the next contraction, I could like feel his head. I reached down because I could feel it coming. And she's like, "Reach down, you can feel your baby's head." I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm touching it. Like, I'm feeling it. And then I just remember feeling so excited. I kind of wish that I would have waited for more contractions. But I just pushed, and I pushed his head out, and I felt his head. And then it was just me and my midwife and my husband there at this point. And it was literally so special because these are the people that helped me prepare. And I felt so myself and so comfortable and just so ready to see who my baby was, because we also didn't find out the gender of our baby. So I was just really excited to see who he was. And then my next contraction came, and I pushed him out. And like as he was coming up, my husband's like, "Oh, he's a boy." And I pulled him out of the water, and it was so nice to just like get him out of the water, go crawl back into my own bed and have my own food. And then my family came home, and it just felt really special. And I could not recommend home birth enough. I wish I would have done it with my other kids, but I'm really glad that I was able to do it with at least one of my kids.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. If you want a home birth, look into a midwife, maybe even switch providers and do your research. Wasn't that just amazing? She had so many good tips and resources for you to look into and to really search out and decide if a home birth is for you, if that's what you lean more towards. There are many ways to birth a baby, and this is one of them, to do it in the comfort of your own home. So if that interests you, do it, research it, and prepare your body and your mind while you are pregnant to birth your baby at home. You can do anything you put your mind to. And as Tasha mentioned, having a great support team around you the whole pregnancy can be invaluable. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing with your fellow pregnant moms, your fellow pregnant friend moms and sisters. And thank you most of all for implementing what you learn in this podcast into your life for more positivity in your pregnancy. Until next time. Thank you for being a part of the Positive in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast, for listening, for sharing, And most of all, for applying these tools into your own life to improve your own happiness so that you can find your own better thoughts for a better you in a positive pregnancy, in losing that stubborn baby weight, and becoming the mom you desire to be through taking small steps in thought and action to reach your goals. If you are a mother who has an inner desire to enjoy motherhood and pregnancy better, but you are having difficulty figuring it out, I can help you. I can help you find the small, doable steps without drastic changes to your everyday mom life. Reach out, let's connect, and let's see you move forward. My name is Jocelyn, and I thank you for listening. Until next time.